A company cut 5,000 workers and replaced them with AI. 6 months later, the cost report came back. It didn't go down, it went up. They removed the salaries, they removed the benefits, they removed the people, and the total cost of running that operation was higher than before they started. How is that possible? This isn't one company, this is a pattern. Companies are spending an average of $85,000 per month on AI tools. That's up 36% from last year. Nearly half of them plan to spend over $100,000 a month. And the returns? IBM found that enterprise AI initiatives are delivering a return of 5.9% on a 10% capital investment. They're spending more than they're getting back. A developer using AI to build software in a single sprint racked up $200,000 in compute costs. The output was the same quality as what the team produced without AI, same result, 10 times the bill. Klarna replaced 700 customer service workers with an AI chatbot. Customer satisfaction dropped, complaints climbed. They started quietly rehiring humans to handle the cases the bot couldn't. Now they're paying for the AI and the people, two systems running at once, double the cost. And it's not just a few companies learning the hard way. 42% of companies scrapped most of their AI projects in 2025. 88% of AI pilots never made it to production. MIT found that 95% of generative AI projects at companies are failing to deliver returns, and yet spending keeps going up. A third of companies that did AI layoffs have already rehired 25 to 50% of the roles they cut. Another third rehired more than half. 1 in 3 of those companies spent more on restaffing than they saved from the layoffs in the first place. 55% of companies that replaced workers with AI say they regret the decision. The question isn't whether AI works, the question is why the bill keeps growing when the whole point was to make it shrink. On paper, it makes perfect sense. You're paying a person a salary, benefits, office space, equipment. You replace them with AI, that entire line item disappears from the budget. Cost goes down. Except open the budget 6 months later, and there are new line items that didn't exist before. The AI platform needs a license. That's a monthly fee, and it scales with how many people use it and which features you turn on. Then there's the cloud infrastructure underneath it, servers, storage, processing power. That's not a fixed cost, it's a meter. The more you use it, the more it charges. Then there's the tokens. Every time the AI processes a request, it costs money. A person on salary costs the same whether they handle 10 requests or 100. AI charges per request. Volume goes up, the bill goes up. 62% of companies say they can't even predict what their monthly AI costs will be. And then there's customization. The AI doesn't know your company. It doesn't know your clients, your workflows, your exceptions. Getting it to work the way your team used to work takes months of setup and hundreds of thousands of dollars in consulting and engineering. One big salary line disappeared, 10 smaller lines took its place. Add them up and you're in the same place or worse. Think of it this way. You had a building manager, paid him a salary. He knew the building, knew the tenants, knew which pipe freezes every January. You let him go and installed a smart building system. The installation cost, the monthly subscription, the software updates, the sensor replacements, the technician callouts when the system glitches. 6 months later you do the math and the total is about what you were paying the manager. Except the manager would have caught the frozen pipe before it burst. The smart system sent you a notification after the lobby was already flooded. The cost didn't disappear, it just got broken into smaller pieces with different names on them. The company cut half the team. The assumption was simple. Fewer people plus AI tools equals the same output at lower cost. But here's what happened to the people who stayed. They kept their original job, then they got the AI management tasks on top of it. Then they inherited pieces of their fired colleagues' work that the AI couldn't fully handle. One person is now doing the work of 1.5 people, sometimes 2, not because they volunteered, because there's nobody else left. The first thing that happens is burnout. The second thing that happens is they start looking for another job, not loudly, quietly, updated resumes, conversations with recruiters, interviews on lunch breaks, and then one morning they're gone. Now the company has a new problem. They need to replace someone who understood the systems, the clients, the workarounds, the things that were never written down anywhere. Finding that person takes months. Hiring them costs more because experienced people are expensive in a tight market. Training them takes another 3 to 6 months. During that entire window, output drops, mistakes increase, and the remaining team picks up even more slack, which pushes the next person closer to the door. The money the company saved by cutting the original team is now being spent on recruiting fees, signing bonuses, onboarding costs, and lost productivity during the gap. The cost didn't leave. It moved from keeping people to replacing people. Think of it this way: a restaurant has 5 waiters. The owner puts ordering tablets on every table and cuts 3 of them. The 2 who are left now handle the floor, manage the kitchen window, and troubleshoot the tablets when they freeze. After a month, one of the 2 quits. The owner hires someone new, trains them for 6 weeks. During those 6 weeks, one waiter is running the entire restaurant alone. The online reviews start dropping. Regulars stop coming back. By the time the new hire is up to speed, the damage in lost customers and bad reviews has cost more than the 3 original salaries combined. The line item for waiters went down. The cost of everything that followed went up. Here's the part that doesn't make sense on the surface. 55% of companies that replaced workers with AI say they regret it. 42% scrapped most of their AI initiatives. The cost reports aren't showing savings. The quality metrics are slipping. The data is right there. And yet AI spending is going up, not holding steady, going up. Companies are doubling down on the same investment that isn't returning what it promised. Why would you keep putting money into something that isn't working? Because stopping is more expensive than continuing, not financially, reputationally. A CEO stood on stage 18 months ago and told investors, "We are an AI-first company." The stock price jumped. The board approved the budget. Promotions were handed out to the people who designed the transition plan. Walking that back means the CEO admits the strategy was wrong. The stock takes a hit. The board asks questions. The people who got promoted have to explain why their plan failed. So instead of stopping, the company announces phase 2, more investment, more integration, more AI, not because the data supports it, but because reversing course means admitting that everything up to this point was a loss. And there's another pressure. The competitor across the street just announced their own AI transformation. If you pause, the headline writes itself: company falls behind in AI race. Even if your competitor is burning through the same money with the same lack of results, neither of you can afford to be the first one to blink. Think of it this way. Someone sits down at a casino table and loses the first 3 hands. The smart move is to walk away, but they've already put real money on the table. Walking away means that money is gone for certain. So they stay for one more hand, then another, not because the odds got better, because leaving means accepting everything they've already lost. Companies are doing the same thing with AI. The next quarter will be the one where it pays off. The next deployment will be the one that works. The next phase will be the one that justifies everything that came before. The investment doesn't continue because it's rational. It continues because stopping is an admission that no one in the room is ready to make. These aren't 3 separate problems, they're one flow. It starts with the swap. The company removes a salary and replaces it with AI, but the cost doesn't disappear. It breaks into a dozen smaller pieces: licenses, cloud fees, tokens, customization, and when you add them up, the number is the same size or bigger. The cost changed shape, it didn't change amount. Then the people who stayed start to crack. They absorb the extra work, burn out, and leave. Now the company is paying recruiting fees, onboarding costs, and eating months of lost productivity. The cost that was supposed to be gone walked back in through a different entrance. And when the numbers come back and none of it adds up, the company can't stop. Because stopping means admitting the whole thing was a loss. So they invest more, not because it's working, but because they've already invested too much to walk away. The cost isn't just continuing, it's compounding. Layer by layer, the same money comes back. First it was called salary, then it was called licensing, then it was called turnover, then it was called strategy. The amount never shrank. The name on the invoice kept changing. AI didn't reduce the cost, it relabeled it. On the budget report, the cost of people went down. That part is true. But the total cost didn't follow. So is this a company that cut costs, or a company that moved them to a different line and called it progress? Did the cost go down, or did it just change its name?